Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing Coffee Traders by Capstone Games. This is a game for 2 to 5 players that plays in 120 to 150 minutes. So it is quite a long Euro game. So this is only the second design by André, Spil and Rolf, Sagel. And again, it's a very heavy Euro game, so I'm really excited to see what they were able to accomplish. As you can see, there are quite a few components to this game. A lot of them are wood, screen printed components. So here we have our plantations, which are wooden pieces, screen printed, and there are 5 different player colors. I'm going to come back to the components at the end of the game and just kind of go through a quick look at all of them after I've organized them. But for now, we're just going to go through and kind of look at each one really quickly. We got some buildings here, more buildings. These are the civic cats. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Some action cubes, more buildings, workers, even more buildings. These are the trading company tokens. So again, in the 5 player colors, more buildings, more plantations. I like what they did here. So there are obviously different values. There's 1s, 2s, and 3s in plantations, but you can also tell by their thickness. So the 3s are quite a bit thicker than the 1s and even the 2s. There's our 2s, by the way. More cubes. These are for the different coffee styles, essentially. And then donkeys in each player color. We have our metal coins, and let's take a quick look at those. So this game is a bit on the pricier side. I think the retail price of this game is $120. So it's nice for them to at least include metal coins without having to pay a little extra for them. And those are pretty nice little metal coins. Not super detailed, but nice enough. And then we have our plastic coffee beans for each player. We'll take a quick look at those too. So a nice amount of detail on these to really make them look like coffee beans. And again, they're a plastic material. So those are pretty nice. And again, we'll look at more of the components at the end. I'm actually going to organize them all because there are so many of them. And we'll take a closer look at them when we do that. We got a scoring pad. Quite a few sheets in there. They aren't double-sided, but again, this would be easy to just print off some extra ones if you do go through the entire thing. So there are rules for 2-player. That does change the game slightly. Essentially, you play with a ghost player. So there's that. Here is our rule book itself, which is a little thick, as you would expect from a heavy Euro game. This is on par with a game like Lisboa or maybe Vinhos. In terms of just how complicated it is. So if you have any experience with those games, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. So nice component list because it breaks it down by player and then also the general supply, our basic setup, our player board, and then we go through all of the different phases. So each round you play a total of 3 rounds. Each round is 6 phases, 1 phase is refresh, so basically just cleanup. So you got a worker phase where you'll be taking different actions, and then you have a workers phase where you'll be actually putting out your meeples into different areas to produce coffee. Then you have a trader and a contractor phase, harvest phase, a contract phase, and then finally the refresh phase where you basically just set up for the next round. And then you can see here, this is all the scoring in the game. So this is kind of like a point salad style game. There's a lot of different possibilities for scoring. You score for pretty much doing everything in the game. So a lot of different ways for you to score. Just some symbology here. And then a little bit of flavor text about coffee in general. Okay. Here are our player boards in our 5 player colors. And they come in these very nice little folio looking boards here. So it says Coffee Traders on one side, and on the other side it says General Ledger. And again, this is the player board. So basic flow of the game, you're going from left to right, okay? So your work phase here, you'll have a certain number of cubes here. Those are your actions, and it actually tells you on the board how many to start with. You start with 3. I believe if you're playing in a 4-player game, you get an extra one. And then you have your starting supply, which is 1 donkey and 3 money. And then you have over here a bonus. So in the bonus, you're going to have 3 things. You can get an extra cube, you can get an extra person, or you can get 3 extra money. And you can take 2 of those every round. The only downside is if you can't pay back the money by the end of the round, it's minus 3 points for every money you can't pay back. So money is very tight in this game. So they give you this option, but it's kind of a dangerous option. And then with your cubes, you're going to decide what actions you want to take. So you've got actions here to put out buildings, actions to put out workers, actions to make donkeys. And then this one down here, you can actually, is income. You can gain money, or you can put out one of your cats. Here is your different plantations that you're going to be putting out. Extra costs are at the top. What you gain is at the bottom. So when you put out this 1 plantation here, you're going to get a donkey for free. And then you have farms over here, here, and here. And again, you know, you're gaining bonuses just for putting these things out, but they're also producing coffee for you during the harvest phase. So bit of a dual bonus there. You have your generic worker pool here, and then you have phase 3, the trader and contractor phase, where you can basically go out to the different coffee plantations on the main board and do separate things, trade with them, get shares in their company. Here, the harvest phase, this essentially just keeps track of how much of each type of coffee you have. So there are 5 different types of coffee, and then there's this Kopi Luwak coffee, which is a wild. You can basically use it as anything. Here is where you'll build warehouses. And warehouses are interesting. You'll start with one here, this grayed out one. And warehouses determine how much coffee you can maintain through the refresh phase. So if you have one warehouse here to start with, means that you can always have 1 coffee. So if you produce up to 4, but you only have 1 warehouse, you're going to go back to 1 at the end of the round. So you can build more warehouses to keep more coffee, up to 5 of each, or you can build those warehouses up here and keep an entire type of coffee. So if you built this warehouse on the pink column up here, you'll be able to keep as much of the pink coffee as you want. And then over here, we have a contract phase. You'll start the game with 6 different contracts, and you can fulfill them throughout the course of the game by paying a certain amount and type of coffee. And obviously those score you points. And then finally you have a track over here. Basically anytime you gain a circular token in the game, you put it here. And as you gain more of them, you'll score more points at the end of the game, as you can see printed on the board. So again, a lot of things going on. Obviously, it is a heavy Euro. All of these things score you points. All of these things are beneficial. It's just a matter of what way you want to approach it. And again, I really like the player boards. Quite large, obviously. They're going to take quite a bit of table space, but they look nice on the table. And I especially like the way they did the graphics on them when they're closed. So below that, we have all of our punch board, which just a couple sheets of punch board because, again, we had so many wooden components. But let's skip that real quick and just take a look at our main game board, which is going to be quite large. I also like the bottom of the box as well. It's a nice little thematic touch. So let's look at our game board here. Again, a nice production all the way around. You can even see the back of the board is printed with the game's name, and it looks like a wooden box. But for a game that's this expensive, it's nice to see, but it's almost a little expected. So here's our game board, or at least most of it that you can see on camera. You can see that there are 5 different plantations, essentially. Those are the 5 different types of coffee that you'll be producing throughout the course of the game. So first of all, you see these square hexes. Those are for your plantations, and that's area control. So right off the bat, one of the things you can do is control these 5 different coffee plantations. And by doing so, you're going to score points. If you control, if you have the most control in any one trading house at the end of the game, that's worth 16 points. Second place is 8 and third is 4. So that's a way to score quite a few number of points by the end of the game. You also have over here on the left side, we have 2 spots here. One, we have milestones, and this will just be random accomplishments. There are several different ones, and there are A's, B's, and C's. And these will be things like build your 2 trucks first. And then the first person to do that will score a certain number of points, second and third less. You also have the coffee bar up here. This is where your little coffee bean tokens will go. At the end of the round, you can fulfill an order for a coffee bar by paying the type and amount of coffee that's shown on it. So here in the London track, I could fulfill this green one by paying 3 green coffee. And that's going to get me a certain number of points and possibly an immediate bonus. And I'm also going to place one of my coffee beans on that, and nobody else can do that for the rest of the game. So again, another way to score points. There are quite a few different ways to do that throughout the course of the game. On the right side of the board here, we'll scooch it over a bit. So on the right side of the board here, we have a couple of different ways to score points as well. So we have the Arabica track, the coffee track, and this is in the 5 different coffee types. And each player will have a token here, and they will move up this track. Whenever you have 2 in all 5 different coffee types, you're going to score extra points, as well as getting a bonus, which is listed on the top. When you have at least 3, you'll get another bonus, and so on. So there's more point scoring here. This final spot here, which is 4 additional points, only one person can be at, but otherwise you can all move up this track at the same time. You also have bonuses for contracts down here. Fulfilling certain types of contracts will give you special bonuses, and these will be randomly put out. Just a round tracker here. And at the very bottom, a turn order tracker. So that's our main board. And then let's go back to our punch board now that we know a little bit more about this. So again, you're dealing with 2 sets of colors here, 2 sets of 5 colors. So there's the player colors, of which you can play up to 5 players. And then there are the coffee house colors. So you see that these are the 5 coffee houses. They have their own little tokens here. These punch out really well. There's no complaints there. It looks like there might be a slight amount of singeing on the board itself. Maybe it's just dust. It's not terribly noticeable, but it's somewhat noticeable. You also have stock counters here in the 5 different coffee types. And then you have trade counters, and these are in the player colors because these will go on the player boards. And they will start at the 4-to-1, and then you can actually upgrade it to the 3-to-1. And then we got some negative player tokens here. If you don't pay back your money, you get those negative tokens. We've got some wild animal tokens. Again, these are the circular tokens that you can gain throughout the course of the game. And these go on your player board in that track all the way to the right. And as you gain more of them, they basically give you points at the end of the game. So this, again, are things that you want to do while you're playing. Finally, we have the contracts. So each player is going to start with these contract boards. You're going to get, I believe they're A through E. So again, yeah, you'll get one C, 1 D, 1 E, and I believe an F as well. And these are the contracts that you're trying to fulfill throughout the course of the game, and doing so gives you, again, points. So everything in this is basically point scoring. There's just a ton of ways to do that. And then finally, we have these milestone cards. And again, just additional ways to score points if you do certain things. So this one looks like it's fulfilling contracts. Once you fulfill all 6 of your contracts, if you're the first person to do it, you'll score 10, and so on. So this one is, it looks like it's fulfilling bars, the coffee bars, but they have to be 2 or higher. And again, more point scoring. So that is all the components for Coffee Traders. I'm going to go and organize the player pieces and come back and show you those. All right, now that I have everything organized, let's go and take a look at basically player pieces for one person. And the reason why I wanted to do it this way is because there are so many pieces that kind of gets overwhelming if you're looking at multiple players at a time. By the way, these are just crayon boxes you can find at Michael's and Hobby Lobby, or even on Amazon if you're looking for them. Make great storage solutions, and you're usually $1 or $2 a piece. So we got most of our pieces in here. So our different plantations, again, 1s, 2s, and 3s, and they are different sizes, which I like. Our little coffee beans, which track what coffee bars we've gone to. Our donkeys, which are used to put out our plantations. When you build in the first row of plantations, you can just build out there as normal. But if you want to build on the second row where you can build the more powerful ones, again, keep in mind this is area control. So a 2 is giving you more power in that area. If I want to build a 2 there, I have to be able to put a donkey there. And then nobody else can use that area. And then if I want to build a 3, I have to put 2 donkeys there. The only exception to that is if you have one of your trucks. The trucks you only get 2 of during the course of the game, so they're very strong. And they basically let you put down a 3 plantation without having to make that walk up. So I could actually put this one all the way over here. I don't need anything supporting it at the base level. The truck just lets me put it straight out. Other buildings here are warehouses to keep our coffee levels high. You got a couple different buildings here. One's hospitals, one is a farm, and I believe one's like a trading house. And then all our small pieces I've gone ahead and put in a bag, including our workers. These are our action cubes, these black cubes. You have 3, and then you have a potential of getting a 4th every round. And then if you're playing with a certain number of players, I believe it's a 3 or 4 player game. Every player also has 1 cube in their color, and this is a once per game extra action. And then again, all of our other pieces in our player color, our little company logos here, and all these different colored cubes are to keep track of the different coffees that we have in our warehouse, because the coffees themselves have their own colors. But that's it. That's everything you get in a copy of Coffee Traders from Capstone Games.